The stars looked cold and distant from the bridge of the Earth exploratory vessel horizon. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the unfamiliar solar system grow larger on the main screen. His ship had been exploring the outer territories for 6 months, mapping new worlds and looking for resources. "Captain, we're approaching the target system," reported Navigation Officer Taeho Park. "Sensors show 7 planets, 2 in the habitable zone." Do-hyun nodded. "Standard observation protocol, keep us at a safe distance." What the crew of the Horizon didn't know was that this system wasn't as empty as it appeared. The 3rd planet, a gas giant with swirling purple clouds, was home to a small research outpost, not a human outpost. This one belonged to the Voraks. The Galactic Council had warned all ships about the Voraks. They were classified as the most dangerous apex predators in known space. Every species that had encountered them told the same story. The massive 6-limbed creatures with crystal-like exoskeletons attacked without warning and without mercy. 17 systems had fallen to them in the past century alone. "Captain," called Communications Officer Nari Park suddenly, her voice tense. "I'm picking up an energy signature. It doesn't match any known patterns in our database." Do-hyun walked quickly to her station. "Location?" "Hiding in the rings of the gas giant. It's small, possibly a scout ship." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this might mean. The Horizon wasn't a warship. It carried minimal weapons designed more for clearing space debris than for combat. "Are they scanning us?" Do-hyun asked. Nari checked her readings. "No, sir. They seem to be drifting. Their energy output is fluctuating." "Could be a trap," warned Security Chief Min Jae-hwang, his hand moving instinctively to the weapon at his side. Do-hyun considered their options. His orders were clear: observe from a distance, collect data, and under no circumstances make contact with the Voraks. The safest course would be to leave the system immediately. But something didn't feel right. If this was a Voraks ship, why wasn't it advancing? Why wasn't it scanning them or calling for reinforcements? "Get me a visual," he ordered. The main screen shifted, zooming in on the rings of the gas giant. At first, they saw nothing but ice and rock fragments. Then Nari adjusted the sensors, and there it was. A small ship, no bigger than one of their shuttles, tumbling slowly between the larger rocks. Its design was unlike anything in human records. The hull seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as Voraks exoskeletons, but parts of it were cracked and dark. No light showed on its surface. "Life signs?" Do-hyun asked. The science officer ran a scan. "One life form, sir. Matches Voraks biology from our limited data. Life signs are weak and getting weaker." Do-hyun felt a weight settle in his chest. The ship was damaged, possibly from a collision with the ring debris. The Voraks on board was dying. The correct procedure was clear: maintain distance, record observations, and continue their mission. But Do-hyun had become an explorer because he believed in learning, in understanding other species. And how could he understand anyone by watching them die when he could help? "Prepare the tractor beam," he said quietly. The bridge erupted in protests. "Captain, that's against direct orders," Min-jae reminded him. "We have no idea how to treat a Voraks," added Chief Medical Officer Ji-ho-yoon. "Their biology is barely documented." "And what if it's a trap?" Taeho asked. "What if they detect our beam and call their fleet?" Do-hyun held up his hand for silence. "I understand the risks, but I can't justify leaving a sentient being to die when we have the means to help." He looked at each crew member in turn. "We're explorers, not executioners. Prepare the tractor beam." The crew followed his orders, though. Their movements were reluctant. The Horizon moved closer to the gas giant, positioning itself above the rings. The tractor beam activated, gently pulling the damaged Voraks ship toward them. "Guide it to the auxiliary hangar," Do-hyun instructed. "Seal all connecting doors and establish a level 10 containment field." As the ship was brought aboard, Do-hyun headed to the hangar with Ji-ho and Min-jae. They watched through a reinforced window as the Voraks vessel settled onto the deck. "I want a medical team standing by," Do-hyun told Ji-ho. "But no one enters until we assess the situation." Remote drones moved into the hangar, scanning the ship for weapons or traps. They found nothing except the failing power systems and hull damage. "The life signs are critical," Jiho reported, looking at his medical scanner. "We need to get it to the medical bay now, or it won't survive." Minjae shook his head. "Captain, this is too risky. The Vorax have killed thousands of beings across the galaxy. If we save it, it might still try to kill us." Do-hyun understood the security chief's concern. The Vorax had a fearsome reputation for a reason, but looking at the damaged ship, at the dying being inside, he couldn't see a monster. He saw a patient who needed help. "Proceed with caution," he ordered. "Full security protocols. But we will try to save it." Remote arms carefully cut open the Vorax ship. Inside they found a single occupant. It was larger than any human, with 6 limbs ending in sharp points. Its exoskeleton glowed faintly with inner light, but large cracks ran across its chest and head. A glowing blue fluid leaked from these wounds. Using a hover stretcher surrounded by a containment field, they transported the unconscious Vorax to the medical bay. The entire deck had been sealed off, with armed security personnel at every access point. In the observation room above the medical bay, Do-hyun watched as Jiho prepared to treat the alien. The doctor looked small next to the massive predator, even with it lying motionless on the reinforced table. "This goes against every protocol," Nari said, joining him at the window. "But I think you're doing the right thing." Do-hyun nodded, his eyes fixed on the scene below. "Maybe every species before us approached the Vorax with fear and weapons. Maybe that's why they always attacked. What if someone just needed to show them something different?" As Jiho began working to save the injured Vorax, none of them could have predicted how this single act of compassion would change the course of galactic history. They couldn't know that by helping the most feared predator in the universe, humanity would gain its most powerful ally. All they knew was that a living being needed help, and they could provide it. And in that moment, it was enough. The medical bay doors slid shut with a hiss. Inside, Chief Medical Officer Jiho Yoon stood facing the injured Vorax. The creature lay on a reinforced examination table, its massive body barely fitting the human-sized surface. Its crystalline exoskeleton sparkled under the bright medical lights, cracked in several places where a glowing blue fluid leaked out. Jiho took a deep breath. His hands trembled slightly as he prepared his medical tools. Through the observation window, security, Chief Minjae watched with his hand resting on his weapon. 6 armed guards stood ready outside the doors. "Are you sure about this, Doctor?" Captain Do-hyun's voice came through the comm system. He was watching from the bridge. "No," Jiho admitted. "But if we do nothing, it will die." The Vorax's compound. Eyes flickered. Each eye contained thousands of tiny facets that caught the light in different ways. Though unconscious, the creature's chest plates rose and fell in a labored rhythm. "I'm starting now," Jiho announced. He approached slowly, scanner in hand. The device hummed as it gathered information about the alien's biology. Jiho had studied xenobiology for 15 years, but the Vorax were largely a mystery. No one had ever gotten this close to one and lived to document it. "Fascinating," he whispered. "Their exoskeleton isn't just for protection. It's part of their respiratory system, too." Jiho worked carefully for hours. First, he sealed the leaking wounds with a special medical polymer. Then he used a laser tool to repair the smaller cracks in the exoskeleton. The most serious damage was near what appeared to be the creature's heart, or hearts, as Jiho discovered it had 3. "The main heart is failing," Jiho reported. "I need to stabilize it." "You're taking too many risks," Minjae said through the comm. "Step back and let it be." But Jiho couldn't. Something about the wounded creature sparked his compassion. It wasn't just a fearsome predator now. It was his patient. In a bold move, Jiho injected a mild electrical current directly into the area around the main heart. It was a desperate gamble based on his observation that the Vorax's tissues seemed to respond to electrical stimulation. The effect was immediate. The Vorax's body jerked and a low humming sound filled the room. For a terrible moment, Jiho thought he had killed it. Then the creature's eyes opened fully. Everyone watching held their breath. This was the moment they had feared. A conscious Vorax in their medical bay could mean disaster. Minjay raised his weapon. The guards outside readied themselves. But the Vorax didn't attack. It simply looked at Jiho, its compound eyes reflecting the human's image 1,000 times over. Jiho stood perfectly still. "Hello," he said softly. "We're trying to help you." The creature made a series of clicking sounds with its mandibles. Then, slowly, one of its razor-sharp limbs rose from the table. Minji shouted a warning, but Jiho held up his hand for silence. The Vorax's limb moved toward Jiho's face. On the bridge, Captain Do-hyun nearly ordered the security team to fire. But something in the creature's movements didn't seem threatening. The sharp appendage stopped just short of Jiho's cheek. Then, with surprising gentleness, it touched a single point on his face, right at the corner of his eye. The touch was as light as a feather. "I think," Jiho said with wonder in his voice, "it's trying to communicate." Over the next few days, the entire crew was on edge. The Vorax remained in the medical bay, now without restraints. Jiho spent most of his time there, along with Yoon Ha-song, the ship's linguistics officer. "Its clicking sounds follow patterns," Yoon-ha explained to the captain during a briefing. "Complex patterns. This isn't just animal communication, it's language." "Can you translate it?" Do-hyun asked. "Not yet. But we're making progress with basic concepts. The Vorax understands that we saved it, and it seems grateful." This was unprecedented. The record showed Vorax as mindless killing machines. Species across the galaxy feared them. Yet here was one, communicating peacefully with humans. The crew named the Vorax Spark because of the electric-like pulses it used to communicate. Spark learned human words with remarkable speed. After a week, it could say simple things like "Jiho friend" and "Spark thank." During one session, Yuna showed Spark images of previous encounters between Vorax and other species. All showed violence and destruction. "Why fight?" she asked. Spark's mandibles clicked rapidly. Through the rudimentary translation program they had developed, it answered, "They come with weapons, they come to kill, we defend." The revelation stunned everyone. The Vorax weren't aggressive predators seeking conquest. They were a species that responded to perceived threats with overwhelming force. All this time, Captain Do-hyun realized, everyone approached them ready for battle. Of course they fought back. Spark's wounds healed quickly. Soon it was moving around the medical bay with ease, its massive frame surprisingly graceful. The crew's fear gradually turned to fascination. "It likes music," Jiho reported one day, "especially string instruments. When I played a recording of cello music, it stood completely still for the entire piece." More surprises followed. Spark showed engineer Sun-woo Kang how its crystalline exoskeleton could be used to focus energy. The applications for Starship design were enormous. "They're not just strong," Sun-woo told the captain excitedly. "They're technologically advanced in ways we never imagined." 1 month after rescuing Spark, the Horizon detected a Vorax fleet approaching. Panic spread through the ship. Had they been tracked? Was this a rescue mission that would end in bloodshed? Captain Do-hyun had a difficult choice to make. Running seemed impossible. Vorax ships were faster. "Fighting was suicide, let me talk to them," Spark requested in its still basic human speech. "That's too risky," Minjay argued. "It could betray us." But Jiho disagreed. "Spark has had many opportunities to harm us. It hasn't taken any of them." In the end, Do-hyun allowed Spark to send a message to the approaching fleet. The crew waited in tense silence. The response came quickly. The Vorax ship slowed their approach and took up positions around the horizon, not attacking but not leaving either. "They want to talk," Spark explained. "First time. No species talked before. Only fight." As arrangements were made for a meeting between Captain Do-hyun and the Vorax leader, Spark made a gesture that Jiho had taught it, a human handshake. "Humans different," Spark said. "Humans help enemy. Humans curious, not afraid. Humans." It paused, searching for the right word. Human special. As the crew prepared for first official contact with the Vorax civilization, they realized they had accidentally discovered something that all the military might in the galaxy had failed to find: a way to communicate with the most feared predators in the universe. And it had happened not through strength or technology, or weapons, but through the simple human instinct to help a wounded being, regardless of its fearsome reputation. Sometimes, the most powerful force in the universe isn't aggression, it's compassion. The meeting room on the horizon had been specially prepared. The tables were removed to make space for the large Vorax visitors. The temperature was lowered to match their preference. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood at the center, his back straight, trying to hide his nervousness. Beside him, Unisong held a tablet with the latest version of the translation program. Spark stood on Do-hyun's other side, its crystalline exoskeleton now fully healed and shimmering with health. "They're docking now," Communications Officer Nari Park announced over the comm system. "Remember," Do-hyun said to his crew, "no weapons, no sudden movements, follow Spark's lead." The doors slid open. 3 Vorax entered the room. They were even larger than Spark, their exoskeletons marked with intricate patterns that seemed to glow from within. The leader, who Spark had identified as Elder Koru, had deep blue markings across its chest plates. "Greetings, humans of the horizon," the translation system rendered Elder Koru's clicks and hums into English. "Spark has told us much about you." Do-hyun bowed slightly. "Welcome aboard our ship. We are honored by your visit." The humans had practiced this greeting for days. No handshakes. Vorax considered touching hands to be intimate, reserved for close relationships. No direct eye contact at first. It could be seen as a challenge. Instead, a simple bow showing respect. Elder Koru moved forward, its massive form towering over Do-hyun. For a tense moment, the captain wondered if all their preparation had been wrong. Then the Vorax leader lowered its upper body in a mirroring of Do-hyun's bow. "You saved one of our scouts," Elder Koru said, "when any other species would have let them die or tried to kill them. This is unexpected." "It was the right thing to do," Do-hyun replied simply. The meeting lasted for hours. The Vorax asked questions about human culture, society, and history. They seemed particularly interested in Earth's many different nations and languages. "Your species is not united under one rule?" Elder Koru asked. "We have a planetary alliance," Do-hyun explained, "but each region maintains its own identity and governance. We believe diversity makes us stronger." This concept seemed to fascinate the Vorax. Through the translation system, they explained that their society was highly unified, with everyone working for the collective good. "Yet you permit disagreement?" another Vorax named Tella asked. "We encourage it," Yuna joined in. "Different ideas help us find better solutions." Over the next few days, more Vorax visited the horizon. Engineers, scientists, artists, each came to learn about humans and share their own knowledge. Sun Wukang, the ship's engineer, spent long hours with the Vorax technicians. They showed him how they used living crystal technology in their ships. The crystals could absorb energy from stars and store it for years. "This could revolutionize space travel," Sunwoo told Do-hyun excitedly after one session. "Their energy efficiency is 10 times better than our best systems." In return, the humans shared their own technologies. The Vorax were particularly impressed by human medicine and art. "You heal all beings equally?" a Vorax healer asked Jiho, watching him treat a minor injury on a crew member. "We try to," Jiho replied. "Our oath is to do no harm and to help all who need it, even enemies?" "Especially enemies. That's how they stop being enemies." This simple human concept seemed revolutionary to the Vorax. In their harsh home world, resources were limited, and many species competed fiercely. The Vorax had evolved as apex predators, using their strength to survive. The idea of helping rivals was foreign to them. Yuna made the biggest breakthrough when she started teaching the Vorax about human music. She played recordings of different styles: classical, orchestras, traditional Korean folk songs, modern electronic pieces. The Vorax were transfixed. Their society had sound patterns used for communication, but nothing like human music. When Una played a cello sonata, the Vorax in the room became completely still, their compound eyes flickering with internal lights. "Beautiful," Spark said, simply after the piece ended. "Makes feeling here." It touched its middle chest plate where one of its hearts was located. "We call that emotion," Yunha explained. "Music helps us express feelings that words cannot." The Vorax began creating their own music, using their ability to vibrate their exoskeletons at different frequencies. The sounds were alien to human ears but hauntingly beautiful, like crystal bells singing in complex patterns. As the days passed, both species learned more about each other. The humans discovered that the Vorax weren't mindless killers, but a sophisticated civilization with rich traditions. They had been misunderstood by the galaxy for centuries. "Why did you attack those 17 systems?" Dohyun finally asked Elder Koru during a private meeting. "We did not attack," Elder Koru's translation came through. "We defended. Each time they came to our space with weapons, they fired first. They called us monsters before ever speaking to us. But you destroyed their colonies completely." "Yes, this is our way. If threatened, eliminate the threat entirely so it cannot return stronger. It is survival." Elder Koru's compound eyes studied Dohyun. "We see now there could be another way." In their quarters that night, Dohyun discussed the situation with his senior officers. "The Galactic Council has it all wrong," he said. "The Vorax aren't aggressors. They're just incredibly efficient at self-defense. But they've killed thousands," Minjae pointed out. "So have we in our history," Jiho countered. "When we felt threatened or didn't understand another culture." Una looked up from her tablet. "I've been studying the records of first contact with the Vorax. Every single diplomatic mission approached them with heavily armed ships. Some even had weapons charged before communication was attempted. So to the Vorax, every contact looked like an attack," Dohyun realized. "And they responded. In kind," Nari added. "It's a tragic misunderstanding." The next day, Elder Koru made an unexpected proposal. "We wish for humans to represent us to the Galactic Council," the Vorax leader announced. "You understand us. You can speak for us." Dohyun was stunned. "That's a great honor, but also a huge responsibility. The Council fears you. They won't easily change their views. This is why it must be humans who speak," Elder Koru explained. "You approached us with compassion, not fear. You saw beyond our appearance. You listened. The decision was not easy. Becoming the voice for the most feared species in the galaxy would put Earth in a difficult position politically. Yet the potential benefits of a human-Vorax alliance were enormous. "We accept," Dohyun said finally. "We will help the galaxy understand who you really are." Before the Vorax delegation departed, Spark approached Jiho in the medical bay. The human doctor had become its closest friend among the crew. "Humans strange," Spark said, its command of English improving daily. "All other species see danger, run away. Humans see danger, get curious." Jiho laughed. "It's both our greatest strength and our biggest weakness." "No," Spark replied, touching Jiho's hand gently with one appendage, a gesture of friendship it had learned. "Is why humans special. Is why humans will change galaxy." As the Vorax ships departed, the crew of the Horizon knew they had made history. They had done what no other species had accomplished. They had seen past the fearsome exterior of the galaxy's most deadly predators and found allies, and they had done it not through strength or superior firepower, but through something uniquely human, the willingness to help a stranger in need, even when that stranger was supposed to be an enemy. Now they faced the greater challenge, convincing the rest of the galaxy that humanity's newest friends weren't the monsters everyone thought them to be. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous. Curved walls rose 100 meters high with seats for representatives from 200 different species. Light streamed in through crystal windows, creating rainbow patterns across the polished floor. Captain Dohyun Kim stood at the center of it all, feeling very small. Beside him stood the Vorax Elder Koru, its massive crystalline form catching the light. 6 months had passed since their first meeting on the horizon. "This is highly irregular," the Arcturian Chancellor said from his elevated position. The blue-skinned diplomat's tentacles waved in agitation. "The Vorax have no place in these chambers. They are destroyers, not builders." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. Many representatives shifted nervously in their seats, eyeing Elder Koru with obvious fear. "With respect, Chancellor," Do-hyun replied, keeping his voice calm, "that perception is based on misunderstanding. I'm here to correct that." Do-hyun had prepared for this moment for months. After the Horizon had returned to Earth with news of their discovery, there had been intense debate. Some wanted to keep the Vorax connection secret. Others saw an opportunity for humanity to gain influence in galactic politics. In the end, President Lee had given Do-hyun a simple mission: build an alliance that would benefit both humanity and the Vorax while improving galactic stability. Now standing before the council, Do-hyun took a deep breath. "For centuries, the Vorax have been seen as mindless predators. But my crew discovered the truth. They are a highly advanced civilization that defended themselves against what they perceived as aggression. They destroyed 17 systems," shouted the Prank's representative, a small furry being whose people had lost a colony to the Vorax 20 years earlier. "Only after those systems sent armed forces into Vorax space," Do-hyun countered. "Every single conflict began with other species approaching the Vorax with weapons ready." Elder Koru stepped forward. The chamber fell silent as the massive predator began to speak. Its clicks and hums translated through the chamber's system. "We regret the misunderstandings of the past," the Vorax leader said. "We believed we were defending ourselves from invaders who came to destroy us. We did not understand that some were attempting peace. And why should we believe this convenient story?" the Arcturian Chancellor asked. "Humans are newcomers to galactic politics. Perhaps they've been deceived." At this, Yuna Song stepped forward. In the months since their return, she had become Earth's foremost expert on Vorax language and culture. "We have evidence," she said, activating a holographic display in the center of the chamber. "We've analyzed records of every Vorax encounter for the past century. In every case, the other species approached with weapons charged or made aggressive, movements first. The display showed footage from various encounters, clearly revealing armed ships approaching Vorax territory. In each case, the Vorax response came only after scans or weapons locks were detected. The Vorax have a simple rule," Yuna explained. "Approach with weapons, expect to be treated as an enemy. Approach in peace, and you will find friends." "And what benefit does humanity gain from this arrangement?" asked the Trinari diplomat, her eye stalks swiveling with suspicion. Now it was Sun Wukang's turn to step forward. The engineer had spent the past months working with Vorax technicians, exploring the possibilities of their combined knowledge. "Allow me to demonstrate," Sun Wu said. He activated another hologram. This one showed a small device, a crystal sphere embedded with circuitry. "This is a clean energy cell we developed with Vorax crystal technology. It can power a small city for 50 years with no waste. We've already installed prototype systems on 3 Earth outposts." The chamber erupted in noise. Energy was always a pressing concern for expanding civilizations. If the humans were telling the truth, this technology would be revolutionary. "There's more," Sun Wu continued once the noise died down. "Medical applications using Vorax regenerative techniques, advanced propulsion systems, communication technology that works across previously impossible distances." The council members whispered among themselves. The benefits were too significant to ignore, but centuries of fear were not easily set aside. The Zithran elder, one of the oldest and most respected council members, raised her hand for silence. "Captain Kim," she said, her ancient voice carrying surprising strength. "If what you say is true, why have the Vorax chosen humans as their ambassadors? Why not approach us directly?" Do-hyun looked at Elder Koru, who nodded for him to answer. "Because we did something no one else did," Do-hyun said simply. "We helped a Vorax in need without expecting anything in return. When our medical officer treated their injured scout, he didn't see an enemy. He saw a patient who needed help." Jiho-yun stepped forward, standing tall despite being dwarfed by the Vorax leader beside him. In human medical tradition, we have an oath, Jiho explained. We help all who need it, regardless of who they are. This concept was new to the Vorax, but they understood its value immediately. Elder Koru's mandibles clicked softly. Humans showed us another way. Not just survival through strength, but growth through cooperation. We wish to learn more of this approach. The debate continued for hours. Many council members remained skeptical. Others saw opportunity in a potential alliance. Through it all, the human delegation answered questions patiently, providing evidence and explanations. Finally, the Arcturian Chancellor called for a vote. The question before us is whether to grant the Vorax observer status within the Galactic Council, with Earth as their sponsor. The voting process took nearly an hour as representatives consulted with their governments. Do-hyun and his team waited, tensely. Everything they had worked for hung in the balance. When the results appeared on the main display, Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. By the narrowest margin, the motion had passed. The Council acknowledges the Vorax as observers, with full review in one standard year, the Chancellor announced, not bothering to hide his disappointment. Earth will be held responsible for their conduct. As they left the chamber, Yunha couldn't contain her excitement. We did it. Do you know what this means for humanity's standing in the galaxy? It means responsibility, Do-hyun replied seriously. A lot of species still don't trust the Vorax. We need to prove their fears are unfounded. Elder Koru joined them, its enormous form moving with surprising grace. Your people took a risk for mine. We will not forget this. Later that evening, at a small gathering in the Earth Embassy, President Lee raised a glass in toast. To new beginnings, she said, and to the brave crew of the Horizon, who saw beyond appearances to find new friends among the stars. Do-hyun looked around at his crew members. Jiho, whose compassion had started it all, Yuna, whose patience had built a bridge between languages, Sunwoo, whose technical brilliance had found ways to combine their technologies, Minjae, who had set aside his suspicions to help build trust, Nari, who had maintained communications through countless difficult negotiations. The real work begins now, Do-hyun told them quietly. Building trust takes time. But it's worth it, Jiho replied. Think of what we can accomplish together. As if to emphasize his point, a group of Vorax entered the room. Among them was Spark, now an official liaison between the two species. Human friends, Spark said in nearly perfect English. We bring gift. The Vorax presented a crystal sculpture, a perfect replica of the Horizon crafted in gleaming Vorax crystal. When the light hit it just right, the tiny ship seemed to sail through stars. To remind, Spark said, small actions can change the course of galaxies. As humans and Vorax mingled in the embassy, news of the alliance spread across the stars. Some reacted with fear, others with hope, but none could deny that something unprecedented had occurred. Humanity, one of the youngest spacefaring races, had accomplished what ancient civilizations could not. They had turned the galaxy's most feared predators into partners, not through force or technology, but through the simple human quality of compassion. In the years that followed, this alliance would face many tests, but its foundation, built on mutual respect and understanding, would prove stronger than anyone expected. The universe was about to discover that humans and Vorax together were a force unlike any seen before. 2 years passed quickly. The human-Vorax alliance grew stronger each day. What had begun with one injured alien and a compassionate doctor had blossomed into cooperation that changed the face of galactic politics. On the bridge of the UES Unity, Admiral Jiwoo Choi watched the stars through the viewscreen. The Unity was humanity's newest flagship, a marvel of combined technology. Its hull contained Vorax crystal reinforcement. Its engines used human ingenuity powered by Vorax energy systems. It was faster, stronger, and more efficient than any Ship ever built by either species alone. Status report, Jiwoo ordered, her voice calm but commanding. All systems optimal, Admiral, reported the tactical officer. The Vorax ships are in formation around us. Jiwoo nodded. This mission was the most important test of the Alliance yet. The colony of New Sol, one of Earth's most distant outposts, had sent a distress call 3 days ago. They were under attack by the Hive Collective, an aggressive insectoid species known for expanding their territory through conquest. The Galactic Council had been slow to respond. Many still distrusted the Vorax despite 2 years of peaceful cooperation. But Jiwoo had not hesitated. The Unity, along with 3 Vorax warships, had immediately set course for New Sol. Admiral, the communications officer called out, Commander Kira is requesting to come aboard. Approved, Jiwoo replied. Minutes later, Commander Kira strode onto the bridge. The Vorax officer's exoskeleton gleamed with blue and silver markings of high rank. Most of the bridge crew had worked with Vorax before, but a few newer officers still stared in awe at the massive alien. Admiral Choi, Kira greeted, touching one appendage to its chest in the Vorax gesture of respect. Commander Kira, Jiwoo returned the gesture. Thank you for joining us. Over the past 2 years, Kira had risen quickly through the Vorax military ranks. Once known as Spark, the injured scout rescued by the Horizon, Kira had requested a new name to mark its new role. Kira was easier for humans to pronounce than its full Vorax name, Kira Aktuvon. My ships are ready, Kira reported. We will reach New Sol in 6 hours. The Hive Collective doesn't know we're coming, Jiwoo said. Intelligence suggests they expected an easy conquest. They didn't anticipate a joint human-Vorax response. Kira's mandibles clicked in what Jiwoo recognized as amusement. They made the same mistake many have made. They judged by appearance rather than action. It was true. The galaxy still struggled to understand the human-Vorax alliance. How could soft, small humans work so closely with the crystalline predators that had once been feared across the stars? The answer was simple to those who knew both species. Humans offered creativity, compassion, and adaptability. Vorax provided strength, advanced crystal technology, and unwavering loyalty. Together, they complemented each other perfectly. New intelligence coming in, the tactical officer announced. The Hive has deployed 6 dreadnoughts around New Sol. They're beginning ground operations. Jiwoo's face hardened. New Sol had 10,000 colonists, mostly civilians. We need to move faster. Can the engines handle it? The chief engineer, who had studied under Sun Wukong, nodded confidently. The new Vorax crystal matrix can take us to emergency speed for 3 hours, Admiral. Do it, Jiwoo ordered. And inform the Vorax ships. The journey to New Sol was tense. Officers prepared battle plans. Medical teams readied for casualties. Engineers fine-tuned systems for maximum performance. Throughout it all, Jiwoo and Kira worked side by side, their different anatomies and backgrounds no barrier to their shared purpose. Why do you think the Hive attacked now? Jiwoo asked during a quiet moment in her ready room. Kira's compound eyes flickered thoughtfully. They believed our alliance was fragile, that at the first sign of conflict, humans and Vorax would turn on each other. Jiwoo smiled grimly. They're about to learn otherwise. The Unity arrived at New Sol ahead of schedule. The planet hung in space like a blue-green jewel, partly obscured by the massive Hive ships in orbit. The colony's defensive systems were holding, but barely. Open a channel to all Hive vessels, Jiwoo commanded. When the connection was established, she stood tall. This is Admiral Jiwoo Choi of the United Earthship Unity. You are attacking a human colony in violation of Galactic Council treaties. Withdraw immediately. The view screen flickered, showing the insectoid face of the Hive commander. Its mandibles clicked rapidly, compound eyes glittering with disdain. Humans, it hissed. You arrive with only 4 ships against our armada? Your arrogance is amusing. Kira stepped into view beside Jiwoo. The Hive commander's antennae stiffened in surprise. You bring Vorax? The commander's voice held disbelief. The rumors are true then. Humans have somehow tamed the crystal predators. Kira's exoskeleton flashed with anger at the word tamed. We are not tamed. We are allies. There is a difference you are about to learn. The screen went dark as the Hive commander cut the transmission. Battle stations, Jiwoo ordered calmly. Execute Plan Alpha. What followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The human ship and 3 Vorax vessels moved in perfect coordination. While the Unity provided cover fire and tactical support, the Vorax ships used their superior speed to flank the Hive dreadnoughts. On the colony surface, joint human-Vorax teams evacuated civilians from danger zones. Vorax warriors, nearly invulnerable in their crystalline exoskeletons, drew enemy fire while human special forces struck at vulnerable points. The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the Hive fleet was in retreat, their ground forces captured or driven off. New Sol had suffered damage, but thanks to the rapid response, casualties were minimal. As Jiwoo surveyed the aftermath from the Unity's bridge, a message came in from Earth. President Lee's face appeared on screen. Admiral Choi, Commander Kira, she greeted them. The Galactic Council has been informed of your success. They're calling an emergency session to discuss the implications. The implications, Madam President? Jiwoo asked. Yes, Admiral. Many council members are realizing that the Human-Vorax alliance is more than a political arrangement. It's a new force for stability in the galaxy. After the transmission ended, Jiwoo found Kira in the observation lounge, looking out at the stars. The Hive didn't expect us to work together so well, Jiwoo remarked. No one does, Kira replied. That is our advantage. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. 3 years ago, Kira said suddenly, I was a scout on a damaged ship. I expected to die. Instead, I found myself in your medical bay, being treated by a human who saw past my appearance. Dr. Yoon is still treating patients, Jiwoo smiled, though now he specializes in both human and Vorax physiology. One act of kindness, Kira continued. That's all it took to change everything. One human who chose compassion over fear. News of the victory at New Sol spread quickly across the galaxy. Species that had feared the Vorax for centuries now saw them in a new light, not as mindless predators, but as defenders alongside their human allies. Applications to join the growing human-Vorax exchange program tripled overnight. Scientists, engineers, artists, and diplomats from both species eagerly shared knowledge and culture. New technologies emerged monthly, each more impressive than the last. 6 months after the battle, the Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant the Vorax full membership status. Elder Koru accepted the position with dignity, its massive form standing tall among the representatives of 200 species. We thank humanity, Elder Koru said in the formal ceremony, for seeing what others could not, for teaching us that true strength lies not in destruction, but in connection. On Earth, in the Great Hall of the United Nations Space Command, a new motto was displayed in both human writing and Vorax crystal etchings. Where others see monsters, we see potential. Friends, it became the guiding principle of human exploration. As humanity pushed further into the stars, they carried this lesson with them, that compassion could build bridges across the greatest divides, and that understanding was the most powerful force in the universe. The most dangerous predators in the galaxy had become humanity's most loyal allies, all because one captain couldn't bear to watch a creature die, even one he had every reason to fear. Together, humans and Vorax looked to the future, not as separate species but as partners in a grand adventure among the stars. The end.